Good morning. Hey, this is like the second time I'm trying to make this video, so I'm going to do it real quick. This is just about the DEI stuff, right? Here's what I hope that we start doing is that we start really praying, because what is needed right now are the prayers of the righteous. The effective, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. We have to remember that sometimes some things can be a test. I've said this over and over again. If you've listened to me, when stuff like this happens, I don't react. I always question God, like, why did this happen? Why did this happen right now? Why did it happen in the way that it happened? What was the purpose behind it? How did it start? Like, what was the conversation about? Like, I always try to get deep, because God said in all you're getting, get an understanding. A lot of people just react and don't get understanding. And I think some things are just tests. I feel like some things are just tests, just to see if God's people are going to react the way he's been showing you that you need to react to stuff. I believe that God raises up kings and that God brings them down. As I was praying about this yesterday, and I saw Al Sharpton, they were showing a clip of Al Sharpton and a group of people go to Costco and boycott of Target. And I got sad about that, because I'm just like, God, they just reacted. And nobody prayed. Everybody saw it and jumped. And like, we got to do this, and came up with their own plan. And remember, there's a way that seems right, but in the end, it's somebody's destruct. Like, it don't always prosper. And so when I started praying about it, I felt like I don't think we're reacting the right way. I felt God wanted us to pray. And those prayers was going to change things. That those prayers was going to do something. But nobody prayed. Everybody reacted. Everybody got angry. And that was the agenda of the enemy, was for you to get mad and to react. And there's a time now, and we've been preaching this, but there's a time, like, we got to learn how to trust God and pray. We shouldn't lose no sleep and have to go out and do extra to prove a point that at the end of the day, if that thing closes, and you got black people working there, Hispanic, black and brown people working there, like, how is that going to devastate a small town? I came from a small town. I live in a large one now, but I came from a small town. A large town, yeah, if it closes, it may not affect much. It'll affect, but it won't affect much. But if you look at small towns where we need this store, and even if a black-owned business popped up, it won't hire as many people as the Walmart or the Target or whatever, done. I know that God can still supply everybody's needs, but I believe that in this situation, God wanted us to really pray, because he raises up kings and he takes kings down. Sometimes it's about removing the person, not the business. And sometimes, you just got to get an understanding before you react. And my prayer over the last week, as I stood in consecration, was like, God, I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to disappoint you. I don't want to do anything. Okay, so what God was showing me was like how a CEO could fall. They could get caught, with a hooker in their car or something, or in a hotel room with cocaine, and be at one of Diddy parties or whatever. I don't know. But they could have that happen. And when they get caught, they be like, oh, poor thing. He's just stressed out. He just, and they'll make an excuse for him. But when a man of God or a woman of God fall, they look at God and they mock God. They say, see, and they start attacking God because of our reaction of what we do. And I said, God, I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want this to happen to you, because God was showing me constantly about people denying Christ. It's so much going on spiritually, y'all, that this is a diversion. Like, you got to think about it. And God was just showing me that it's going to be a time of people denying Christ coming up. And all this stuff happening, and people trying to put fear in you and start making you react to stuff. I'm telling you, you got to stop, drop, and roll sometimes when this stuff look like it's on fire and it's really not. You got to really pray, because some things that God allows is a test. God allows a test. Let me tell you, when it comes to this DEI thing, and I'm going to look it up today, but the one person that have not spoke out about this was its creator, Johnny C. Taylor. See, I'm HR. Johnny C. Taylor came up with this when he came and took over SHRM. And him and his team came up with the diversity, equity, and inclusion stuff whenever he came in, because he came in at the end of COVID, after all of this foolishness started happening with companies doing racist things, racist commercials, and the death of all the black people like George Floyd. And everybody had been out of work, and now businesses were opening back up, and he was saying this is what's needed. So he created this model of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Remember, EO is the law. EO is the law. EO been into place since the 70s. EO is the law. Diversity, equity, and inclusion was a model. It was a concept. It was a theory. It was something that was put into place to kind of add a little spice to EO, but it wasn't the law. And people fight stuff that they don't know about. And it's like, God, get an understanding before you start reacting. Think about it. Now, his idea and his concept is not being played out. It's a great idea, wonderful, beautiful concept. But if you've taken DEI training because the government took over DEI and made the handbook and then come out and give training to people, it is really downplaying EO. It's giving people with racist behaviors and ideologies and using them for practices in their companies' excuses. It's giving them excuses. And so now it's trying to warp your brain around the fact that, and this is the training that I've received, but some people haven't even received the training. They heard the word, and now they're like, oh, they're against black people, and just incited something. This was like, I ain't gonna even say it. Oh, Jesus. I just want us to get an understanding before we start fighting the wind. Let's talk to the guy who created it, and let's figure this thing out, because God wants more for us. He said, the effective fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. And he raises up kings, and he can bring kings down. You know, I remember I was praying about it, and God showed me, what was the king in the Bible where he stood on his house and looked at his kingdom and everything that he made. And he said, look what I made. And God was showing me how people was going to start praising themselves. They'll start praising themselves for what they was able to build, just praising themselves. And God is a jealous God. God is a jealous God. It's something about pride. It's something about praising yourself. It's something about denying God. God was just showing me so much over this week that it brought me to tears. So I'm just like pleading with y'all, like, please don't react. Your first go-to should be the Lord. It should be hitting your knees and saying, God, what do you want me to do about this? What do you want me to say about this? What is really going on? He will reveal some things to you, and then you can really pray about it. But in all you're getting, get an understanding. You got information, but you don't know anything else about it, and you just react. And now you're trying to target other places, and that's not what the people of God are supposed to be doing. So I just pray. I pray and encourage you to seek God's face before you make a decision of boycotting, of inciting other people to do certain things, because, well, you have to get on God's agenda. And He has one. And you want to be in that. You want to be in His will. You want to be doing what He wants done. So I just urge you to pray.